Thanks very much, Lisa. Good afternoon and welcome. I would like to thank Chair of our Cobourg Police Services Board, Mr. Dean Pepper, for attending. Dean is always very supportive of our members and our service and our actions. Also, Councillor Burkett for making time in today's event. It's obviously not something we do every day, but something that I feel, based on what had occurred Friday evening, was worthy to come together. It is fitting that we're standing underneath the wall of honor for two officers who have fallen, one of them murdered in our own town. On Friday, September 30th, 2022 at 11:30 in the evening, uniformed patrol officers on general patrol conducted what turned out to be not a routine traffic stop, right here on Division Street. Subsequent investigation revealed that the vehicle's passenger provided a false name, false date of birth, and was in breach of his current release conditions. The passenger attempted to flee the area and was safely arrested a short distance away. During that physical arrest, police located a loaded Glock pistol, which you have before us, full magazine, drugs, over $1,700 of Canadian currency, 3 cell phones, estimated street value of drugs more than $5,000. As a result of this investigation, the passenger, a 17-year-old male youth, was charged with multiple offenses, including, but not limited to, obstruct a police officer, assault with attempt to resist the police officer, escape lawful custody, possession of 3 different Schedule I substances, fentanyl, crystal meth, crack cocaine, all for the purposes of trafficking, possession of proceeds under $5,000 of crime, of under $5,000, possession of a prohibited and restricted firearm and ammunition, unauthorized possession of said firearm, 2 counts of carry a concealed weapon, possession of weapons for the dangerous purpose, as well as possession of prohibited device. And importantly, 4 counts of possession of a firearm or ammunition contrary to an existing weapons prohibition order. The driver, a 42-year-old from Trenton, was charged with multiple offenses, including but not limited to knowledge of an unauthorized firearm in a vehicle, failed to comply with probation order. Both accused parties were held for a bail hearing on Saturday. The adult male was released from bail on Saturday. Youthful offender is in the bail process as we speak today. This incident is very concerning, obviously, for multiple reasons. Violent criminal activity knows no boundaries, and this most recent arrest speaks to the danger that the police face in doing this kind of work, ultimately in keeping our community safe. If not for the extraordinary police work of our frontline officers this past Friday night, we could have once again awoken to another gun-related tragedy in Ontario. I cannot be prouder of the officers' professionalism and commitment to keeping the town of Cobourg, our residents and visitors, safe. Obviously, the person who was arrested was not authorized to have this firearm. Our criminal investigative team is currently working with provincial authorities to try to determine the guns, where this gun came from, who may own it, and why it ended up here in Cobourg. As we heard not only 2 weeks ago from Chief Tanner of the Halton Regional Police Service, the issue of crime guns must be addressed, and it must be addressed now. Chief Tanner indicated that in Ontario, when it comes to crime handguns, and it was a handgun that was seized Friday night, close to 90% of those handguns can and are traced back to their origin in the United States. Let's do something about that. Furthermore, and I've said it before and I repeat it here today, I support 100% the gradual ladder approach to release conditions for people charged with criminal offenses. For most people, this latter approach works. This is an example where collectively we need a different solution. This is not safe and this is not acceptable. In conclusion, I reiterate the great work of the women and men of law enforcement do each and every day across Ontario and across this country. We continue to work in collaboration with our neighboring police services and police services across Ontario. Last week, our officers coordinated with other police services for a successful outcome after initiating a stop that could not continue anymore here for public safety reasons. Thanks to this ongoing coordinated approach between services, the people who fled our officers were arrested a short time later in Durham Region for multiple driving offenses and more drug offenses. Work by our police team here in Cobourg and across this province continues to be demanding and increasingly dangerous. I send my personal appreciation to our team here and to officers across the country as they go about their daily work in providing safe communities. Thank you, and I'll answer questions now.
If we could just move in roundabout so everyone gets their questions in.
What was the nature of the traffic stop again?
Again, when I said it was a not so routine traffic stop, that's exactly what it was. It was a routine traffic stop. Our officers are always out and about in the community, and this particular evening they're out conducting what they do in their regular course of activities, and as quickly as that traffic stop began, it was no longer routine, and it led to the events that we talked about.
But what happened specifically to have the officer stop this car?
There was some suspicious information in relation to the vehicle and the vehicle associated plates.
You've said it's not acceptable, but I mean, what needs to be done then?
What needs to be done? We need to have greater, obviously greater penalties. We need to have greater funding and grants not necessarily for the Cobourg Police Service, but to track and source where and how these guns are coming into Ontario. That is first and foremost. We see not two or 3 weeks ago where more US guns are involved in tragic circumstances. We need the government, we need police chiefs, we need everybody, the provincial police associations of Ontario to come together and work for real solutions for Ontarians.
What about the courts? Because I understand he was up on charges before, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. We are limited to what we can really speak about. This person is covered and protected by the Youth Criminal Justice Act. But obviously, if there's a breach of undertaking charges, then yes, you're correct. There are charges before the courts. So again, we're right back into this lateral approach. That's exactly what I said. As chief, I support everybody out in the community is given an opportunity. If anything should happen, we understand that allegations are just that, and people will be proven to be guilty or innocent in court. I understand that there needs to be a lower threshold for everybody, and most people comply. When we get into issues of gun violence, robberies, and violent crime, there has to be a different approach. There has to be a different response.
And just one more, just if you can reiterate, this could have went south really easily.
When this person was arrested by our officers, just before midnight on Friday night, the loaded gun that's before you, it's not loaded anymore, but the gun you see before you is loaded and on the person during the course of a physical struggle. Anything else? Thank you.